This is the SAU Report, a program featuring interviews with the faculty, staff, students, and alumni of Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia.
Welcome to this edition of SAU Report. I'm Tracy Campbell.
And I'm Jennifer Lewis. With us today is the 1999 Miss Southern Arkansas University, Shaneil Curley. Thank you for being here today, Shaneil.
Thank you.
Now, less than a month ago, you were crowned Miss SAU.
Yes.
Were you in many pageants growing up?
No, actually, the Miss SAU pageant was my fourth pageant in my entire lifetime. As a junior in high school, I entered the Miss Northfleet pageant and I didn't place. It was something I did for fun. And then this semester, I was in the Miss Black and Gold pageant state competition in Conway, Arkansas. And then I came back here and did the Miss Black Columbia County pageant. So I had all the things to do the pageant, so I did it.
Where were you raised at?
I was raised in Callion, Arkansas, which is about 12 miles west of El Dorado, Arkansas.
Okay. Did you have a happy childhood there in Callion?
Yes, along with my large family, we had a lot of happy times. I had 3 sisters, 2 brothers, 2 grandmothers, and now several nieces and nephews.
Wow.
I understand that you have a strong Christian ethic. Were you raised in a religious family, or did something in your life lead to this ethic that you have?
Well, while I was living that happy childhood, every Sunday morning we got up and we went to church, and my parents made it very, very evident that we needed to know God and who He is. I can admit, though, in the last couple of years, I've found that through Him, I've grown a lot stronger. So that's why I'm so strong in my Christian ethic.
What type of student were you in high school?
In high school, I was the person who wanted to be at everything. I was involved in a lot of extracurricular activities. And to be honest, academically, I did what I had to do to get by. I did graduate with honors, but it was just because I knew all my friends were going to.
What type of activities were you involved in?
I was involved in Future Homemakers of America, Future Business Leaders of America, the Afro-American Club, different things that we did in the community and other things.
Did you always know that you would go to college?
Well, I knew I always wanted to go to college, but when I graduated high school, I found that it was going to be a little different than I thought. I immediately found out that the financial part was something that I never even thought about. I didn't prepare myself for scholarships and things like that, so I was kind of late doing it, but I made it.
And what made you choose SAU?
Well, for my first 2 years of college, I went to SAU Tech in Camden, and I went there on a scholarship, and then I got here through a transfer scholarship from there, so that's why I'm here now.
What's your major here at the university?
My major is elementary education, and I'm specializing in early childhood.
How would you rate your time so far here at SAU?
Well, this is only my second semester, and I'm very surprised at how I've made friends. I know lifetime friendships at that. I've never thought that I'd make such an impact on my own life, just changing colleges like I did.
Your major being elementary education, did you always like working with kids, or is this something that you just recently acquired a taste for? Or?
Oh, I definitely love children. I always joke with my sisters and my best friend. I tell them all the time, if you all keep having children, I'll be just fine, because I can just take yours, and whenever I'm finished playing and having fun, I can send them back home. But I really love children. They're very spontaneous. They're open-minded. I'm in Field 2 right now, and I'm really enjoying my time spending with these children.
What do you do in Field 2?
In Field 2 experience, I go to McNeil schools, and I participate in a second grade classroom where I actually do things such as the roll count. I do things, spelling tests. It's not like I have a lot of control, but I'm able to do a lot of things through the teacher that's there in that classroom.
Do you go every day?
I go Mondays and Wednesdays.
What made you decide to enter the Miss SAU pageant here?
Well, like I said before, I had a lot of influence as far as my friends are concerned. It was like 2 weeks before the pageant, and I had toyed with the idea in my mind, But I was like, I'm not doing that. That's a preliminary for the Miss Arkansas pageant, and I'm not ready for that, you know. But then, you know, you're your worst critic, so I thought, well, you know, I won't make it to Miss Arkansas, so I might as well do it. But I have to admit, my friends really influenced me to do it.
Now, the song that you performed for talent was just outstanding. I was there, and you blew me away.
Thanks.
Have you always been musically inclined, or is this something that you've practiced over the years, or, you know, how did you get this talent?
Well, this talent is definitely God sent, and it's something that I was able to exercise every Sunday morning, every week in church. And I often tell people that that's what that voice is for. And that song was actually a change for me. The 2 pageants that I've done this semester, I sang a gospel song at both of them, and that song was something different to me, but I really enjoyed doing it.
Were you in the choir at church?
Oh yes, I was in it. I've been in several different choirs, and right now I'm a member of the Genesis Ministry Choir here on campus. So I've always loved to be in a choir around other people who like to sing.
Tell us a little bit about the Genesis Choir.
The Genesis Choir is a ministry here on campus. We're probably a group of about 30 students who get together, and we have a service here every Tuesday night where we just go and we worship. And then we've been going a lot and having different occasions and events that people invite us to.
What other talents do you have that we're not aware of?
Well, I don't have many hidden talents. Singing would be my most known. I do like to say that sometimes I think I can dance. You know, my friends joke with me and say I can't, but I'm pretty set on that I can dance a little bit. Other things would be, I guess, just holding a conversation with anyone, no matter who you are, where you're from. I love to talk, and I think everybody finds that out quickly.
Right. Many have said that your high point in the Miss SAU pageant was the personal interview with the judges. What kind of questions did they ask you in that personal interview?
Well, fortunately, they immediately got personal with me. I have no problem talking about my family, my life in general. And they told me several times in my interview that my personality just shined when I walked in the door, because I was laughing the whole time I was in there. And I was surprised because I thought they're going to go in here and they're going to drill me on this critical issue, and they're going to ask me personal questions that I don't want to answer. But it was the total opposite, and I had a really good time in my interview.
What was your critical issue?
My critical issue is WINGS. It's Women in Need Growing Strong. And it's an organization that's based for battered women and their children. And it's something that I found over the internet one day, and I started researching, and I found to be very interesting.
Did you feel real confident after the interview was over?
I didn't necessarily feel confident about the pageant, which was awaiting me that night, but I felt really good about that interview. I said, you know, I walked out and told her friend, I said, I had so much fun in there. And she said, well, I can tell. I was really laughing and having fun.
When they called your name as the winner, were you honestly surprised, or did you feel that you had it in the bag?
She looked surprised.
Yes, she did look surprised.
I think it didn't really hit me that, like I said in the break last week, I think, that they had actually called number 8. And I can still sit here and think of how it was a total blackout. And I saw the pageant on video for the first time this week, and I see how surprised I was, and I had no idea that I was that surprised.
Now, do you think after seeing the video of the pageant, do you think that you deserve to win?
I know that I did my best, and I really
know that
put
you
my
said-
best foot forward.
Right.
But I also, seeing the tape, saw I had some very tough competition.
Right, just like you said, you're your own worst critic.
Yes.
But I was there and you did great, so
Thank you.
if that is any consolation.
Thank you.
You had mentioned before that the judges were really blunt with you, and they let you know what they think and didn't have any reservations.
Yes.
Give us some examples of some things they had said to you.
Okay. When they critiqued me for the Miss Arkansas pageant, I was still crying and basically hysterical. But I did hear several little things. They went through each competition and told me what they liked and disliked. As far as my talent was concerned, they really liked it, but they told me to maybe select a different song for Miss Arkansas to show my voice more. They loved all of my clothing, except for one judge bluntly told me that she hated my swimsuit. And I was like, okay, you know. And I really didn't take it, to offense. I was really glad she told me that she didn't. But there were several things said that I was glad to hear, and some that I was disappointed. I thought that I had did well on.
Along with the beautiful crown that you're wearing, what are some other prizes that you were given, from area pageant donations?
Okay, well, I received three gift certificates from downtown. I received one from Talbot's, Jennifer's, and Ruth's. I also received 2 semesters full pay scholarship here, and the last thing was like a cash reward from Southern Arkansas University.
The gift certificates that you received from the area sponsors, does that go towards Miss Arkansas clothes, or does that just go towards anything you want it to
Well,
be?
it's definitely up to me to make the decision, but considering the financial expenses, I have used 2 of them already, and they're definitely going towards the Miss Arkansas pageant.
Okay.
As Miss SAU, your duties include to represent our university throughout the state. Now, what are some of your other duties?
My other duties include appearing in parades. I'm sure before the next year is out, I'll have to represent the university at different meetings, at conferences, just to kind of maybe be there beside Dr. Campbell in some occasions, just to help him maybe at award ceremonies and things like that. So there's lots of different things I will be doing.
Now, Shaneil, the next step for you will be the Miss Arkansas pageant.
Yes.
What preparations are you making for that event?
Several preparations. I never imagined how many. Things such as selecting different things that I have to have, things I never imagined I needed. A large part is the paperwork. I have state forms that are due on May the 30th, and the stack is not a short stack of papers to finish. Also, there are things such as just reminding myself to read the paper every day, to watch the news, to build on my critical issue.
Okay, now for the Miss Arkansas pageant, you've already said you're going to change songs. Do you have any particular song in mind already, or are you still looking? Or?
I'm still looking. It's something that I've made a goal to decide in the next week or so.
Right, and as far as dress, your evening gown, you're going to change that? Or?
Yes, I'm going to change my evening gown, possibly even my talent, depending on the song that I do choose, and definitely I'll be changing swimsuit.
Do you have any colors or styles picked out already? Or?
I've just been looking. I've never been the type of person to be clothes conscious, and color conscious, but now every time I try something on, I have to have someone there to tell me if that does anything for my skin or if it doesn't. So it's very picky. You have to be picky when you're doing it now.
Will you keep the same platform?
Yes, I definitely will. Like I said, I'm really reading the news and keeping up on the web to see if there are any new things about battered women.
One of the major events each year at SAU is Spring Fling. Will you be doing anything special at that event, or?
Yes, I've been asked to maybe perform at the Spring Fling as a practice for me. I'll probably select my song by then and practice it a couple of times at Spring Fling. I've also been asked if I would like to do some emceeing, if someone is, it will all be to my benefit to help me practice for the onstage competition.
Now, you're also a resident assistant here at SAU.
Yes.
Do you feel that this new title that you've been given will conflict with your duties as a resident assistant?
No, I don't think it conflicts. It just makes me sit down every night and write down from 8 a.m. until the time I go to bed exactly what I have to do. So it's very hard to balance all that time. But as of now, it's been pretty easy to keep it all balanced.
Now, being an RA is a big responsibility.
Yes.
Tell us some of the things you have to deal with every day. You get a lot of complaints? Just tell us about RA life.
Well, just for the sake of my girls, I would like to tell them they're really great. This is my first semester as an RA. No more than I need a light bulb, or I locked my keys in my car, I left them at home. Things such as that we all do, something that's usually out of our control. But other than that, as far as our duty nights are concerned, it's something that every RA on the campus has to do, and it's really a job that I enjoy.
Now, which dorms are you an RA in?
I'm in Harriet Hall, the freshman female dorm.
That's got to keep you kind of busy.
Yes, we have lots of exciting times over there.
Now, your fellow resident assistants, were they were so excited for you about the pageant and about the win.
Yes.
Now, was their excitement and their encouragement, was it motivating for you, through the weeks of rehearsal and even now, so after the win?
Yes, it was very, very motivating. I had several of them, and you hear it all the time, oh, you're going to win. And I would say, stop saying that, whatever, and I didn't see many of them the night of the pageant, but when I saw them the next week, I told you. And, just to know that you have people really behind you. And then, too, I noticed just by an accident that they had bought me an ad in the Bray last week, and that really let me know that they cared and they do support me.
Were you friends, or are you friends with any of your fellow contestants in the Miss SAU pageant? And if so, how has that changed, or is everything just as good as ever now? Or?
Well, I didn't know any of them to a large extent. I've known, you see them every day walking on campus. I had seen several of the girls on campus, but none of them I know really personal. Corey Harris, who received second runner-up, she was actually the person who helped to coordinate the Miss Black Columbia County pageant. So I was familiar with her, and we knew at the time that pageant was held that we were both considering being the Miss SAU. So she would have to be the one that I knew the most.
Okay.
Now, what are some other activities on campus that you are involved in?
Okay, besides the Genesis Ministry Choir and being an RA, I'm involved in a lot of things in the community where I try to keep up. I go home quite a bit to attend church. So I don't really know many people here in Magnolia, but in the last couple of weeks I've learned to know people, and people call me and I'm like, okay, and who did you say you were? And I try to really balance my time and remember who I've talked to when I get ready to go to bed at night. So I try to stay involved in every community that I ever go through, because I know it's important to have that relationship with people.
Not only are you the new Miss SAU, but you're the first Black Miss SAU in pageant history here. Do you feel that this win or this honor has paved the way for other Black women at the university?
I definitely hope that what I like to call my win by accident has really encouraged some of the other Black women on campus to get involved. I've even in the last couple of days mentioned to a few of them, this could be you. You need to kind of get in pageants. And I'm the one who was always, well, I wouldn't be in a pageant, and now I'm doing it and I'm really enjoying it, and I hope that I have paved the way.
Do you feel that because you are the first Black Miss SAU that this has placed more responsibility on you as an individual?
Well, in many ways, I know it does. I know that besides the other Black females who are possibly looking up to me, there are some things that I'm going to have to watch. If it's just what I say, how I say it. I know that there's a responsibility. It's just having this crown and having this title. I have to make sure that I'm the person that I portray there on that stage.
Do you feel that there are any disadvantages at all to being Miss SAU or being in beauty pageants?
Well, I don't think there are any disadvantages. To go back and to the issue of me being the first Black Miss SAU, I would say that the only disadvantage is that that's even an issue. I was never familiar with the city of Magnolia, and when I did come here, I didn't see anything where this would be an issue. And when I was crowned and my friends let me know immediately after the pageant was over, you're the first Black Miss SAU, and I was like, okay, and I didn't see it to be an issue, and hopefully before this year is over, I can make that a point that people know it shouldn't be one.
Okay, now pageants are always a controversy in the public eye. There's always people saying, they place too much emphasis on the outside of a person instead of the inside.
Right.
Do you feel that pageants are demeaning towards women?
No, I don't, because obviously I wouldn't have done this one. But the reason I don't feel that it's demeaning is because it's solely up to that female, to that woman, to decide whether or not she's going to enter the pageant. It's all about your attitude. And if you know that this scholarship, for example, it's based on scholarship, it's based on academics, it's based on things that you can be proud of. So no way do I think it could be demeaning.
Was your mother or any of your siblings or other relatives part of the pageant scene?
No, none of my sisters have ever really been in pageants. I have one sister, which is my youngest sister. She's been a cheerleader for the last 5 years, I think. So she would be the only one that's even close to anything like this. We weren't the little girls who you saw from toddlers up until now that would be in pageants. That wasn't something that we did or we were interested in.
Was this something that the pageant scene, something that they encouraged or they brought up to you, or was it something that you just come home and said, "Hey, Mom, hey, Dad, I want to be in the pageant"?
Well, this semester, the Alphas here on campus, the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, came to me and they said, "We need someone to represent us at the state competition in Conway." And I said, "Okay." So that's really how I got my start here.
Okay. Your friends and family don't really call you Shaneil, as we're
Right.
calling you now. Instead, they call you PJ.
Yes.
Where did you get this nickname, or how did you get this nickname?
Okay, well, PJ stands for Precious Jewel, and it's just a name that my dad started calling me one day. And I like to say that we changed it into the initials because my sisters would not dare allow people to call me Precious Jewel. I think it was a little jealousy there.
Well, I'm sure now that your dad's happy that he'd give you that nickname. 'Cause,
Yes, and I'm very happy too because it's what I use in my everyday life.
yeah.
So, right now, are you still Shaneil Curley or PJ, or are you Shaneil Curley, Miss SAU?
I say this daily. I'm still PJ. I know that, people are going to joke with me and say, "Oh, look at her. Her head is big. She's not the same. Miss SAU, you can't come speak to us." Things of that nature. But I know it's all in fun, and I want to assure everyone that I am still PJ, the same person that I was before this pageant occurred.
Have your friends given you any true negative criticism, or has everything just been joking and fun? And
None to my face, I should say. I'm sure that there are those out there who feel like I am, acting different or I'm not the same. But if they would just come a little closer and get to know me, I think they'd see different.
okay.
Now, do you have any kind of words of wisdom or anything to any women that may be wanting to enter the pageant scene?
I would definitely say go for it. Going back to what I said, if you have the right attitude, don't enter in already knowing that I'm going to go and I'm going to take this crown, I'm going to do what I want to do. And, if you just have the idea in your head that I'm going to go have fun, but do my best at the same time, I think that's the only wisdom I could give them because I'm not an expert at this yet.
Now, Shaneil, you had said that a sorority asked you to, was it a sorority or fraternity that asked you to?
It was a fraternity.
Okay, fraternity. Do you have any aspirations? You're not a member of sorority now, right?
No.
Do you have any aspirations in the future?
Yes, in the future, I would definitely consider entering into some sorority because I feel that it could be such a very positive impact on your life.
Okay.
Do you know, or can you say anyone in particular that you're interested in?
Well, I'll just say that I have my eye on a very prestigious organization at the time.
Good
Do you
answer.
have a lot of friends in sororities here, or?
Lots of male friends, I should say. I don't really know many females or very close to any people who are in sororities. But I'm kind of out there and know everybody, so I'm just going to kind of get in where I fit in, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure after 4 years at SAU, you'll have a lot more activity and a lot more friends, a lot more stories to tell.
Lots more.
This being Miss SAU probably opens up a whole new life for you, a whole new
Yes.
perspective for you.
Yes,
So.
it sure does.
We'd like to thank you for joining us today, and we'd like to thank you for being our guest.
Thank you.
And thanks for watching this edition of the SAU Report.
The SAU Report is a production of broadcast journalism students in the Department of Theater and Mass Communication at Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia.